Hi, I'm Samuel Hollywood Summers, a sound designer and composer based in Exeter in the United Kingdom, and I'm here to talk to you again about my emotional response project and the Disgust section that I've been working on for the last little while. So I'm at the point now where, to the extent that art can be finished, this section is finished. It was, I think, Leonardo da Vinci, according to this framed postcard that I have. He was the person who said that art is never finished, only abandoned. And I'm ready now to abandon this section of the piece and move on. I think that the Disgust section achieves its goals, and I'm ready to move on to the next sections. I'm thinking about this like a stepping stone, with the opposite bank of a river being my goal of having the emotional response project ready to tour, basically to show to other people and to have people come and interact with the finished thing. Disgust is one of 7 stepping stones of finishing each of the separate sections. But as I lay down other stepping stones to get closer to the side of the river, I'm sure that my feet treading forwards and backwards in this metaphor are going to polish the stone somewhat. I'm not going to be able to resist the urge to sort of tweak it to make small improvements and changes here and there. But for now, I've got what I need. I'm ready to move on to, as we discussed last time, I want to move on to anger, and then hopefully to happiness and make a sort of a more positive turn to what I'm doing. We've had discussed quite a negative emotion, moving on to anger, another negative emotion, but I'm going to argue that you can actually do positive things with anger if you treat it the right way, if you reflect on it the right way. More on that in the next episode. But yeah, today we're going to look at the finished Disgust section and what I've done there. So the goals for what I want the Disgust section to achieve are to, as a piece of generative music, I want it to be open-ended, I want it to be unpredictable, and the primary goal of it is that it evokes disgust, that it, to some extent or another, makes the listener feel disgust. So this is not going to be the sort of piece of music that you would listen to on the radio. It's not going to be the sort of piece of music that you listen to if you want to cheer up. It's going to attempt to evoke disgust, repulsion, aversion, or if it's really successful, that really deep guttural feeling that you have of utter, disgust. Quite a hard thing to achieve potentially, and it's not going to be achieved through a few pretty chords and a melody here and there. So I'll show you what I've managed to assemble with that now. In order to be a generative piece of music, one of the other outcomes that we need to have is that certain composerly decisions have been delegated to an agent other than me, the composer. So Fmod and the generative music system I've designed within Fmod is going to take care of some of that. In emotional response as a whole, the audience members are also going to act as agents taking composerly actions, so making decisions about which expression to express facially, which emotion they're. But within disgust, so whilst the expression disgust is being expressed, or until another one is, we're going to be stuck within this section, and there is still going to be composerly decisions being made in real time, not by me. I've delegated those to the system, the program within Fmod. I think it's time to have a listen. So if I start the piece, it's just playing from the very beginning of emotional response. I've organised it so that we have the neutral music playing at the very left of the screen. Go back to the previous episode about this if you want to see how it's laid out as a whole. But if I change the emotional variable to 6, which is for disgust, we transition to the disgust section. So that placeholder music that you may have seen in the previous vlog has been replaced with the disgust section as it now exists. So I'll zoom in. Okay, we've got quite a lot going on here. We can ignore the logic tracks because we're not going to transition out of the disgust section for now, so I'll hide those away. We do have several layers of audio, and they're all designed, as you may notice, I'll stop playing it now. They're all designed to evoke disgust in the listener, It's quite unpleasant to listen to. And in the application of the installation, I'm not expecting people's faces to stay on Disgust, for extended periods of time. I'm expecting this to be quite temporary, quite short in length as well, before moving on to another emotion. Whilst it's running though, here's a few things that do happen. So I've got the track here, the sloppy drums 24 bar loop, 112 beats per minute, just named the file so that I would remember what it is. This isn't playing now, it's not highlighted, but you might see some flashes down here. There are 5 tracks even. So I've got 5 tracks of audio here where there are what we call a multi-sound. Now if I zoom in on one of these, here's one of these multi-sounds. If I double click on here, you can see that there are various different files. All of these are beans recording. So when I did my Foley, squishing the beans, making some horrible noises, some wet sloppy sounds, some kind of flatulent sounds as well. I've just got them here as a multi-clip, a multi-sound clip, and I've set it so that one of these will play at random, and it's the same for each instance of these multi-clips. I've done a similar thing here, but instead of the beans from that first one, we've got celery. So this is on the second beat of each 4-bar. First beat, second beat. Third beat we have hand farts, I've called them, so when I was making those sorts of noises. And on the fourth beat we have a lemon sound effect, so one of the lemon samples. And also on that first beat of every bar we've got a melon sound as well. These will always play, there'll always be at least these layers in the music as it plays. So you can see which of the options is being played by which is highlighted, which is random each time. And if I solo all of these tracks, we can hear what that would sound like without everything else that's going on. Because this isn't all that's happening. Here we go. You can hear there that it's playing all of these at random in quite quick succession, every beat of the 112 beats per minute. So 112 of these sounds every minute. And with them being quite random, it is going some way to achieve that intended effect we talked about last time of acousmatic sound. Having a disgusting sound, not having an associated image, and then being left as the listener to bridge the gap between what information we do have and what we don't, and imagining the source of that sound. As we discussed last time, the imagined can be worse than the truth. Like, these are all made with, food, with fruit and vegetables and some baked beans, basically. And unless you have a phobia against those things, there are a lot worse sources of these sounds that you could imagine. All right, so I unsolo these. There's other things going on as well. Those are all the tracks that the sounds always play, or at least one variation of each of those sounds will play from a list of possible ones. So with the melon here, we've got 15 possible melon sounds to play. So that's quite a lot of variation, quite a lot of unpredictability that's been invited in here. But you've got that regularity of the rhythm to keep it sounding like music, no matter how unfamiliar or strange that music might be. There is a rhythm, at least, sort of holding everything together. Here we have some of the music gestures that have been taken from those few pieces of music I composed trying to sound disgusting. So I took all of that source material and combined it. Some of it, on reflection, felt too musical, felt too pleasant, too nice. So those like 4-chord loop style harmonic underpinnings that I had for a couple of those tracks, I've done away with that, and I've only kept the more sound designy, textural stuff, the really high-pitched things. There's a few bits of chords and melody and snippets, but nothing that feels too like home, too familiar, too pleasant. I don't want this music, if it continues, to stop being disgusting. I want it to still be repulsive, which, depending on your aims for what you want to achieve with music, might be a bit of a drawback. But still, that was what I wanted to achieve. So I'll let it run freely for a moment now, and you can hear what has been achieved. Okay, so what's playing here? We've got some high-pitched stuff. Here we go, it's this harmonica layer you can see. It's been activated. Most things are not activated. There's a 20% chance of most of these playing. So I've got this particular clip highlighted, recorder blips 24 bars, 112 beats per minute. And as you can see down here, we've got that waveform. If I open up the trigger behavior, you can see that I've set in the conditions section that I want there to be a probability of this clip playing, which is 20%. So only 1 in 5 of the times that the playhead passes the start of this clip here, only 1 in 5 of the times, or 20% of the time, will the clip actually be played. I think it might only be the drum loop that I set to a different percentage of likelihood, but even that I might have then changed to 20%. Yeah, because there is a drum loop with that horrible sample-based splat wet drum kit, but I've also got this random every beat sound as well. So as you can hear, sometimes you only really do get those sounds. These are playing, there's nothing else really playing. And here we go, unpredictably, we now have, oh, well, I'm going to have to zoom out to show you, even to work out what's going on. We have this layer here playing, we have these two layers here playing. And here we go, we've got that drum loop, that composed drum loop playing as well. And with the fact that this music either does play or doesn't, here you got. See, there's a bit more of a deliberate musical phrase, a few chords and a little bit of a melodic line in there. These things do exist, but I've tried to pick dissonant harmonies, high-pitched, unpleasant sounds. You've got those kind of visceral, bodily, organic, gross sound effects with these dissonances, these high-pitched frequencies, these unfamiliar sounds, and it's all basically just designed to be disgusting. So, if I stop that there, every time I play this, it's going to be slightly different. It's going to be unpredictable in that way. This can play forever, or for as long as you want it to, and so it's open-ended. That's one of the goals I had. There are composally decisions that I'm not making ahead of time, so that goal's all been met. Those 3 goals have been met. As I said, the primary goal was for this music to be disgusting, and when I played it for my wife, she was quite disgusted. It was an unpleasant listening experience for her. I think that shows that it has achieved its goal, and it's a bit of a weird way to have to reflect on how my music has performed, because its goals are so weird. I'm not trying to make something that's pleasant to listen to, quite the opposite. I'm trying to make something that's unpleasant to listen to, and my composally intuition and impulse is to add in some chords that I like, to add in some melodies that I like, to have things going on that I enjoy. But those intuitions, those impulses are incorrect in this particular case. So I've taken out those repeated chords. They start to feel familiar, start to feel kind of cool, kind of nice. I don't have them. And I'm left with something that isn't quite nice. It's not pleasing to listen to. It's quite unsettling. It's quite unsatisfactory if you're trying to get out of it what you're normally trying to get out of music. But I think that's okay. In approaching the next section, anger, I'm hopefully going to be able to make music that does express the emotion successfully, but also serves that purpose of being pleasant to listen to in one way or another. There's many genres of music that are quite angry, but that have a huge following and lots of people interested in listening to that type of music. So you've got like punk, you've got hip hop and rap, you've got metal and other heavy genres. They're all quite angry, or often they're quite angry, but they still have that pleasurable listening experience that maybe Disgust, my composition here, doesn't. And I'm looking forward to going back to something that is so, just feels natural as a composer. You want to make music that is nice to listen to, even if it's expressing quite a difficult emotion, quite a negative emotion. And as we said, I'm going to try and massage out of that anger something more positive. More on that next time. So thanks for watching, as always. You can follow along with this journey by subscribing to the channel, by watching the rest of the videos in this playlist about emotional response, and hopefully, as the lockdown is easing and so on, by the time I finish the project, it will be fine, it will be safe to share it with the world and get it toured around some actual venues, to have some actual people come in and interact with the piece in the way it's designed to, through a camera, in real time, changing all of these musical characteristics. So I'm pretty excited, and I will see you in the next one.